All right, good evening, children. So, today we will be proceeding the digestion process in human beings from small intestine. Can anybody tell me that what is the name of food when it travels down from the stomach? Like
Ma'am,
in
bolus?
mouth, we called it bolus. What is the name given when the food is in your stomach? Do you know?
Ma'am, kind.
Anyone? All right. So now this is known as chyme. Bolus is when the food is mixed with saliva and is now passing down the esophagus. But when the food is mixed with gastric juices and is now passing down to the small intestine, that type of the food is now known as chyme. And chyme is bound to be highly acidic. Remember these 2 points. And now digestion in small intestine. We are starting this. Digestion in small intestine. Now, what are those major areas of small intestine into which it can be divided? Do you remember? Anyone?
Ma'am, please repeat the question again.
Sorry, could you say that again? What is that?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, small intestine is the largest part of alimentary canal. So, what are the major areas of small intestine? Can you tell me?
Ma'am, villi.
Once again?
Ma'am, villi.
No, no, no. I'm talking, suppose this is your small intestine, then certain areas are associated with certain kind of functionality. And according to that, the first part will be duodenum. Second part will be jejunum. And third part is going to be ileum. So learn these names, children. D, J, and I. Alright, this is your small intestine, DJI, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. And remember, this is EUM because with ILIUM, there is a bone in the pelvic girdle. Do not mix the spelling of both. That is the spelling of ileum. So, duodenum is this portion, children. You remember the diagram of stomach and you will remember automatically. So, this was esophagus leading into the stomach, which is a bag-like structure. And now, at this junction where the pyloric sphincter was present,
Miss
this
Penton.
yeah, this C or U shaped bend of the small intestine is duodenum. And this initial first half of the small intestine is the major site where the digestion will be completed. We will see how. But remember that duodenum is a very important part because the final digestion, proper complete digestion will take place in the duodenum. So, if the digestion is about to happen, then this pyloric sphincter needs to relax slowly so that the food or the chyme can now start entering the small intestinal area. Now, once the food reaches here, various receptors present in the small intestine will sense the acidity and they will send the signal that now is the time to pour in the secretions which are required for digestive process in this particular portion. So now three major glands will come into action now. What are those major glands?
Liver, pancreas,
Ma'am, pancreas, liver.
Ma'am, gallbladder.
blood.
Gallbladder, liver, pancreas, and the wall of the small intestine itself is going to pour such a variety of juices that will actually complete the digestion process. But that will be the last step. First, we need to focus upon liver, pancreas, and gallbladder. Now, liver has a multitasking functionality, but here, especially in reference to the digestion process, what it is going to contribute. So, the liver is the site
Bile juice.
of bile
Bile
synthesis.
juice.
Yes, that's right. So good. So actually the bile will be synthesized in the liver, but then it goes to gallbladder.
Gallbladder. Stores there.
Gallbladder stores it and concentrates it. So if something is concentrated, then its minute quantities
Salt.
are also very effective. So gallbladder concentrates and stores bile.
Ma'am, can you explain what is the meaning of concentration?
Yes,
Gallbladder will concentrate it.
yes, suppose you have made a solution, but now you think that you do not have a thermos big enough to carry it. So you would like that the volume of the solution is reduced so that it turns into a squash kind of thing, so that once you reach your destination, you will mix 1 cup of that squash with 4 cups of water and you will serve it. So concentration is that process. Liver is synthesizing certain bile juices, but then gallbladder, which is a small gland, it has to store it, and before doing that, maybe extra salt, extra water has to be removed. So the constitution of the bile remains the same, but its concentration changes. Whatever salts are making the bile, they will remain there in the same proportion except the proportion of water. So now it is concentrated and its small quantities are going to have big effect on a large number of fat molecules. That is how concentration takes place in the gallbladder. So one thing is clear, that liver is the chief site of synthesis. Even if you remove gallbladder, which is removed in many patients due to gallbladder stones, then some diluted form of the bile juice will be available to the patient, and the digestion of fat will take place, but not that efficiently. So do you understand the difference now? Gallbladder was containing concentrated bile juice, so we can have any amount of fat in our diet and it will be digested. But once if my gallbladder is removed, then I need to be careful about what I am eating. I should not be taking too much fatty food, because the bile which is coming from the liver now is not that concentrated. Is this clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, liver and gallbladder's roles have been established. Now, let us talk about pancreas.
Pancreatic juice.
Very good. So,
Trypsin.
pancreas is going to have two different kind of roles here. But if we talk about the digestion related role, that is going to be the exocrine function of pancreas. What do I mean by that? Exocrine function means a gland has synthesized something, but now that secretion is going to come out from certain tubules, certain ducts. Otherwise, if the function was endocrine, the gland will synthesize something and it doesn't require any tubes or ducts. The surrounding blood capillaries are going to absorb that secretion, and now the blood will take that secretion away. So endocrine, which is the ductless transport, does not require any tubules, but exocrine activity requires a series of tubules or ducts through which the secretion reaches its destination. So the digestive function of pancreas, which is going to secrete pancreatic juice, requires tubes and ducts, and it is obviously an exocrine activity of pancreas. So this is going to contribute pancreatic juice. Now these three are going to help in the digestion in the small intestine. Let us learn how. So any doubts so far, children?
No, ma'am.
No,
All
ma'am.
right. And please check that the one who has joined now is real Bitto. Please ask.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very bit to it.
All right. So, first step. First step is going to neutralize that acidity which comes with the chyme. Chyme is very acidic because it is mixed with the gastric juices and they were working in the pH range of 1.5 to 2. We need to ensure that that acidity is gone and the medium is neutral now. So a large quantity of bile will be secreted. Bile secretion is the first thing, and we are going to achieve two major objectives with this juice. Bile will not only neutralize the pH because bile salts will be alkaline. So the pH will be neutralized now. It will reach in the range of almost 7.7. So that is the pH range we are ideally looking for. And the second objective that will be achieved is emulsification of fats. I will explain that. Emulsification of fat. Now, fat globules are pretty big in size, so you need to make them smaller. And let us understand why. If something is this big and there are enzyme molecules traveling along, then those enzyme molecules have to approach this from multiple directions. Only then this fat molecule can be digested. But suppose we have these many enzyme molecules, but now the fat globule is smaller, and these are those existing enzyme molecules. So you can see that the access of enzyme to its substrate is better now. Smaller the size, better is the surface interaction of enzyme and its substrate. So one thing becomes clear, that larger globule is not easy to be digested because the enzyme cannot access the central portion. Here, smaller globules are easier to digest. So who is going to reduce this size? This reduction in size of the fat globule is known as
Villi.
emulsification. And now who is going to do that? Bile salts. Bile salts actually interact with fats in a manner that they break them into smaller globules, and this process is known as emulsification. So once the emulsification is done, children, fats are easily accessible to lipases. Lipases are fat digesting enzymes. So lipases can work better on the smaller sized globules. So you understand how important is the role of bile juice. It does not contain any digestive enzyme per se. It only
Excuse
contains
me, ma'am.
certain,
Can
yes.
you again explain emulsification of fat? Ma'am, please.
Emulsification of fat is breaking down of larger fat globule into smaller fat globule so that the surface interaction of enzyme with the fat globule becomes many times better. If the fat globule is larger, then enzyme is going to be able to access its surface, but whatever fat is available in the center, it is not going to be easily accessible to the enzyme. And unless fat and an enzyme are interacting together, there is not going to be any digestion. But if the globule is smaller the globule, more surrounded it is by the enzymatic molecules, and easier will be the digestion. So what is emulsification? It is larger globule to smaller globule, and smaller globules are easily accessed or approached by the enzyme so that it can be digested. Clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. So, bile juice does not have any digestive enzyme. It only contains alkaline salts. So, what do we achieve by this? We achieve neutralization of the pH of the chyme in the small intestine, because small intestine enzymes require neutral pH range to work. Remember the optimum pH concept? because of that. And second, it will emulsify the fat so that lipase can access the fat globules and digest it properly. Larger fat globules will not be digested properly. Second major secretion which is going to digest your food now is pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice will now be poured. Once the bile has been secreted, the medium has been neutralized. Now let us pour the pancreatic juice. So we should know what it all contains. What are the various enzymes, children, that are present in pancreatic juice? Anyone?
Ma'am, trypsin and lipase.
Ma'am,
It
trypsin and lipsin.
trypsin and lipases. Actually, pancreatic juice is a pretty complete juice. It contains the enzymes able to digest all three major food categories like trypsin
Ma'am, for
for
protein digestion.
proteins, lipases for fats,
Ma'am,
and
fats.
amylases also.
Ma'am,
Amylases,
carbohydrates for.
yes, very good. So amylases. But remember, these enzymes, pancreatic trypsin, pancreatic lipase, or pancreatic amylases, are going to digest your food partially. For example, if the protein was like this, in the stomach, this protein has been broken down to this size, oligopeptide, and now by the help of trypsin, these oligopeptides are going to be even shorter when the trypsin is acting on them. And once these are this small, finally the small intestinal enzymes will break them into the smallest possible unit. But first, let us see what all we are digesting here. So remember, almost 30% of the carbohydrate had turned into maltose in our buccal cavity.
Yes.
Almost some proportion of protein was converted into oligopeptides in our stomach. Now, all that partially digested food and undigested fat has encountered the bile juice. It is emulsified now. Now, trypsin is going to digest the protein further down. Lipases will break apart the fats, and amylases will break the carbohydrate up to disaccharide level, just close enough to the monosaccharide level. Once this is done, children, now comes the most important and final juice which will completely digest your food. And that name is very particular. You can call it the secretion of small intestine. But first see, yes, Janvi,
Ma'am, intestinal juice.
intestinal juice. And there is another term for that. Let me give you that. Succus entericus. And it is not difficult to remember. I will tell you how to learn this. Do you remember what is the meaning of gastric? Gastric? Anyone?
Ma'am, digestive. Ma'am, digestive.
Gastric juice कहाँ secrete
मैं
हुआ था?
एसिडिक मैम स्टमक में
Gastric juice,
एसिडिक होता है जो.
yes. Gastric juice was secreted in the stomach because the scientific term for stomach region is gastric. And similarly, the scientific term for intestinal region is enteron और एंटेराइटिस. आपने सुना होगा, इनको गैस्ट्रोएंटेराइटिस हो गया है. तो गैस्ट्रो यानी स्टमक और एंटेरॉन और आइटिस मतलब इन्फ्लेमेशन, यानी इन्हें गैस्ट्रिक और इंटेस्टाइनल रीजन में कुछ अनप्लेजेंटनेस होती है, तो उसे ही कलेक्टिवली हम गैस्ट्रोएंट्राइटिस कहते हैं. उसके रीजन अलग अलग होते हैं जो डॉक्टर पता लगा सकते हैं. सो रिमेंबर, एंटेरॉन, एंटीरिक, ये सारे वर्ड्स इंटेस्टाइन को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. एंड सकस मीन्स जूस. So the intestinal juice is actually scientifically called as Succus entericus. And this juice contains all three categories of enzymes. It contains protein, fat, and carbohydrate digesting enzymes, as well as it contains nucleases. न्यूक्लिएजेस. अब न्यूक्लिएजेस का क्या काम है? you can think that whatever food we are eating, either it is coming from the plant system or from the animal system, and all the living organisms are made up of cell. Now, what is the brain of the cell known as?
Nucleus.
Nucleus. And what does nucleus contain, children?
Ma'am,
Nucleic
nucleolus.
acid.
Nucleic.
Nucleic
Nucleic
acid.
acid. So you can imagine that whatever food we are eating, each one of its cell contains certain amount of DNA and RNA also. Who is going to digest that? So nucleases are those enzymes which actually digest the nucleic acid. So along with protein, fat and carbohydrate digesting enzymes, the succus entericus also contains nucleases. So here the final digestive products become available, which are glucose, which are amino acids, which are fatty acid and glycerol. Fatty acid और glycerol की triglyceride linkage से fat बनता है. So we are having fatty acid plus glycerol and
मैम ग्लिसरॉल के फॉर्म में तो वो स्टोर होता है हमारी बॉडी में.
no,
मैम
glycogen के फॉर्म में स्टोर होता है.
यस मैम ग्लाइकोजन की फॉर्म में. सॉरी.
Glycerol is further taken to the liver where it will be converted into glycogen. Excess glucose will also be taken to the liver and it will be converted to glycogen. But the storage product in animal tissue is going to be glycogen. And once you break down the nucleic acid, what do we get? We get nucleosides, right? So nucleosides are going to be our digested products. एंड यू सी हमारी बॉडी को भी इन्हीं सब चीजों की जरूरत होती है, लेकिन हम इस ग्लूकोज से हो सकता है तुरंत रेस्पिरेशन से एनर्जी जनरेशन करें, या हो सकता है हम इसे ग्लाइकोजन बना के स्टोर करें. अमाइनो एसिड से हम अपनी एनिमल प्रोटीन सिंथेसाइज करेंगे अपनी बोन्स अपनी मसल्स के लिए. फैटी एसिड से हम अपने एडिपोज टिश्यू में इसे स्टोर करेंगे, या फिर अगर हमारे पास स्टार्वेशन की कंडीशन है तो हम इससे एनर्जी जनरेशन भी करेंगे. एंड देन ग्लिसरॉल, एक्सेस ग्लिसरॉल विल बी टेकन टू लिवर और वहां उसको ग्लाइकोजन बना के स्टोर कर लेंगे. एंड देन न्यूक्लियोसाइड्स, हम सबको अपनी सेल्स में रिपेयर और ग्रोथ के लिए लगातार डीएनए आरएनए सिंथेसाइज करना है. सो दीज विल बी यूटिलाइज्ड. सो दिस इज योर डाइजेशन completed in the duodenum region of small intestine. Now what should happen next? Any idea? What should happen next? The food is digested now, children. Guess.
Ma'am, absorption of nutrients.
Assimilation and absorption.
Okay, what will happen first? Absorption or assimilation?
Ma'am, absorption.
Ma'am,
Absorption.
absorption.
Alright, can anybody tell me what is assimilation?
Ma'am, circulation of nutrients in whole body.
Yes, that's right. So the point that I'm emphasizing again and again, that you need to break these food items into smallest unit so that your body can synthesize newer items according to its own requirement, because our protein is going to be different from plant protein. So that process of making a part of your body from the nutrients that you have received is assimilation. Absorption is simple diffusion or active transport through which your intestinal cells are going to absorb this food, and then this food will travel through the bloodstream. Wherever it is required, it will be delivered to those cells. So first absorption will take place, and now we need to learn how this absorption takes place. So children, do you know that small intestine is a pretty large structure, right? So how do you
Yes,
think,
ma'am.
how is such a long tube adjusted inside the belly portion? How is that possible? Can anybody guess?
Ma'am, please repeat your question.
How such a long tube like a small intestine is adjusted in the small area of belly portion?
Ma'am, it
Because
is extensively coiled.
coiled. Very good. So one thing,
Ma'am,
another
it's
concept.
6 meter long.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
sort
its
of
length is
repeat.
6 meter long. Ma'am,
Kindly
its
repeat,
length is
sort
6
of.
meter long. Ma'am, its length is 6 meter long.
its length is 6 meter almost. So extensive coiling. One concept will be handy to all of you in various fields of biology, that whenever we have to fix a large thing into a smaller area, you need to remember that this is going to be folded or coiled, whether it is your DNA, whether it is your intestinal lining or entire length of the small intestine. If you need to fit a large quantity of something in a smaller area, you better fold it and then it will be fitted in that area. And why not? See, if this rope is 16 centimeters long, so this length is 16 centimeter, all right. But what if I take a longer rope and just fold it? So this end to that end, the length is still 16 centimeter. But if I open this up, you can guess that the above rope is many times longer than the lower one. So do you understand this concept now? That in order to fit something in a smaller area and still have larger surface area, you need to fold it, you need to coil it. And that is the concept you must remember. It is going to come again and again in the biological system. So now,
मैम ये कोलैप्स नहीं करते आपस में?
sorry, repeat.
मैम ये आपस में कोलैप्स नहीं करते?
नहीं, ये कोलैप्स नहीं करते हैं, बिकॉज ये प्रॉपर इपिथेलियल टिश्यू के होते हैं. इपिथेलियम के नीचे मस्कुलर लेयर्स होती हैं. दे आर नॉट पेपर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड दे आर नॉट सिंगल लेयर्ड लाइक क्लॉथ. दे आर मल्टीपल लेयर्स ऑफ मसल. And then the epithelial lining, the innermost lining which is actually in contact with the food is epithelium. So epithelium के नीचे supporting muscular layer है और ये collapse नहीं करेंगे. So now digestion process is over, which is in the duodenum. Now jejunum and ileum, these two parts are mostly responsible for the absorption of food. So in order to absorb a large quantity of food efficiently and in a short duration of time, you need to increase the surface area for absorption. Of course, the small intestine is almost 6 meters long, but we need to absorb the food pretty quickly. So we need more surface area. Even though 6 meters are not enough for me, I need more. So suppose this is the thickness of the wall of your small intestine. Then these are going to be multiple muscular layers. But then the innermost lining will be epithelium, and this epithelium will not be straight. This is going to be folded into finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections are known as
Willy.
I will write in Hindi so that you never pronounce it incorrectly. So please practice together. How should you say this?
Villi.
Villi.
So the singular will be villus, but there are so many that collectively in plural form they will be called as villi. And now let me show you the individual structure of these villi, that how.
मैम हम इसे विलाई बोलेंगे विलेस या
विलाई
दोनों में से
बोलेंगे?
कोई एक?
नहीं, विलाई बोलेंगे क्योंकि एक नहीं है. हमेशा जब भी है तो मल्टीपल फोल्ड्स है, थाउजेंड्स ऑफ देम. सो नेवर कॉल देम विलस. इट इज जस्ट फॉर योर नॉलेज. जैसे न्यूक्लियस और ढेर सारे न्यूक्लियस है तो न्यूक्लियाई. रेडियस, हाँ, रेडियस, रेडियाई. यू शुड नो, बट कहाँ क्या यूज करना है, सिंगुलर या प्लूरल, वो अपने डिस्क्रिप्शन से आप यूज करें, लेकिन आपको पहले पता होना चाहिए.
Stomata.
सॉरी
मैम स्टोमा एंड स्टोमेटा.
नो, Stoma and stomata are very different. How did you even confuse that? Can anybody correct him? What is
मैम
Ma'am,
wrong?
the
स्टोमा
opening,
एक पार्ट और
ma'am, the
स्टोमेटा
opening made by the two stomata, ma'am, it is known as stoma.
Yes. See, Saurabh, this pore is stoma. But the collection of two guard cell and this pore together will be forming stomata. Stomata is guard cell and that pore. But that pore itself, alone that pore is known as stoma. So don't try to equate both of these terms. They have different meanings. And I had emphasized on that in my lecture. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
नो मैम
Who said no, ma'am? Were you
I'm
absent or were you
Saurabh.
sleeping? Just make it clear. Were you sleeping or were you absent?
मैम फुल्ली प्रेजेंट मेंटली एंड फिजिकली बोथ
Kindly do not produce such unearthly noises, children. Now, children, if this is the structure of one villi, we need to know how and why this is so specialized for absorption. So remember, there are blood vessels and then there are lymph vessels. And this network of both kind of vessels is running throughout our body. So there is a lymph vessel traveling in each villus. Okay, this is your lymph vessel. All right, and then some more color. Let me show you with other color that a network of blood capillaries is also traversing here, completely surrounding this lacteal. Now, let me label them and I will explain. This is one villus and this blue vessel which is running along this is known as lacteal. Lacteal is of lymphatic system. So this is actually a lymph vessel. Lymph vessel. And these blood capillaries which are also running inside a villus, they will absorb certain food items. Lacteal will absorb different food items. Just let it label and I will tell you what it is going to absorb. So these are blood capillaries. Now, blood capillaries, children, will absorb glucose and amino acids. Three major food forms have been formed: glucose, amino acids, and fatty acid and glycerol. So, glucose and amino acid will be taken up by the blood capillaries, but fatty acid and glycerol will be taken by the lacteals. Lacteals will take it to the liver so that glycerol can be converted into glycogen and fatty acids will be taken to the adipose tissue. But blood capillaries will take up glucose and amino acid and travel throughout the body, and whichever cells require them, they will take it. And glucose obviously is going to be required by every cell for respiration. So that's why the blood capillaries are going to take glucose and amino acid. Lacteal is exclusively going to take up your fat products, which are fatty acid and glycerol. So imagine this kind of intricate absorption network is present in each and every villus, and so many such villi are present throughout the intestinal lining, and that is why the absorption process is very efficient and fast in the small intestinal area. So this question is often asked, that what makes the small intestine a great place for absorption, or what makes the absorption process efficient in the small intestine. So first you
Ma'am,
need to
villi.
mention, yes, that its inner wall is folded in the form of villi. This folding increases the surface area many times, and villi are richly supplied with the blood capillaries and lacteals, so that the food is absorbed very quickly due to villi, and it is quickly distributed throughout the body due to this rich network. तो हमने absorb भी बहुत जल्दी किया है और उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने का तरीका भी रखा हुआ है, क्योंकि वहाँ ब्लड कैपिलरीज है। ऐसा नहीं है कि विलाई अपने यहाँ इस एरिया में फूड को लेकर बैठेगी, नहीं, इट इज going to quickly transfer that to the bloodstream, and the food will travel throughout the body wherever it is required. So this is how absorption of food takes place in the jejunum and ileum portions. Now the food has been absorbed. What about assimilation? Assimilation is something when the food becomes part of your own body. So I just explained, and I will summarize it once more, that in assimilation process, whatever food you have taken through your diet now is going to be utilized to make up your body. Wherever there is repair required, it will go to those cells. Wherever there is growth required, new cells need to be formed, cell division is required, then it will be utilized there. If you required instant energy, your cells are going to utilize the glucose portion. And if you need to build up muscles, then those cells require muscle protein, bone protein to increase the bone density. All the calcium in your diet is going to be deposited in your bones, and its density will increase, and so on. So now that calcium might have been the part of plant's body in the form of calcium pectate, but now that calcium has become a part of your bone. That glucose might have come from some apple, but now that glucose has been stored in my liver like glycogen. That is assimilation. That now those particles, those food particles, are part of my body in a different form. So they are carbohydrate. Glycogen is still a carbohydrate, but a different kind of carbohydrate, which is my body's carbohydrate. So this is assimilation, when the nutritive value of food items is assimilated in your body in the form of your body structure. That is assimilation process, children. Is there any doubt so far?
No,
Anyone?
ma'am.
Anyone?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I will move on to the large intestine now, and we will finish this process here. What happens in the large intestine? Any idea? Any
मैम जो
idea?
बचे हुए न्यूट्रिएंट्स होते हैं, मैम जो बचे हुए न्यूट्रिएंट्स होते हैं उनको फिर से अब्सॉर्ब किए जाते हैं, ताकि मैम पूरा न्यूट्रिशन ताकि पूरा न्यूट्रिटिव वैल्यू वो ले सके फूड से।
Can you give some example?
Absorption of water.
Yes. Actually, large intestine.
Salt and mineral also.
Yeah, large intestine ensures that we are not unnecessarily losing water or certain essential salts from our body. So, nutrition will be absorbed exclusively and extensively in the small intestine. Nothing of nutritive value is left in that food when it reaches the large intestine. But at that part, it is still semi solid because it was mixed with a variety of juices. So juices like mucus etc. contain a lot of water. And remember children, nature is very economic. Nature is not going to waste anything acquiring which has required energy. तो अगर हमने पानी की तलाश में बहुत ज़्यादा एनर्जी वेस्ट की है, तो बॉडी ऐसा कोई काम नहीं करेगी कि आप पानी वेस्ट करें। अगर आपने किसी सर्टेन फूड आइटम से सोडियम पोटेशियम एक्वायर किया है, तो बॉडी ऐसा कोई काम नहीं करेगी कि आपकी बॉडी से सोडियम का वेस्टेज हो। सो लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन विल एब्जॉर्ब water and certain minerals to ensure that we are not wasting them unnecessarily. Of course, the urine formation will take place. A lot of water has to go out of the body, but other than that, we should make sure that we are not wasting anything. So just give me a moment. I will explain large intestine. So now is the portion which is large intestine, and it is also going to have villi, but its diameter is a little more than small intestine. It is wider and a little smaller also. What are the major structures that we see here? So in large intestine, children, cecum, colon, and rectum. These are the major structures that are found in large intestine. And can anybody tell me what is the end point of alimentary canal?
Ma'am, anus.
Anus.
That's right. So
मैम
anus
एनएस
is, yeah, yeah,
मैम एनएस
yeah. So see,
NS.
anus is only the opening. These three are chambers. Remember, alimentary canal need to have two openings. First opening was mouth and first chamber was buccal cavity. Similarly, the last chamber is rectum and the opening is anus. So anus is just the opening. Now remember, wherever you hear the word cecum, certain scientific words, most of them actually are of Greek or Latin origin, so we generally don't understand what it means, but some technical words need to be learned because they keep coming in different fields. So whenever you hear cecum, children, please remember that this is a blind sac. So a tube will have two openings, right? But if I say something is a ceca or cecum, then I need to say that it is a blind tube. यानी एक तरफ से बंद होगा, right? तो सीकम आपके लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन का वही पोर्शन है जो थोड़ा ब्लाइंड सैक जैसा होता है. यहाँ पर फूड थोड़ी देर स्टे करेगा. Certain symbiotic and useful bacteria are there which help in keeping our large intestine in a healthy condition, and then after that the food moves toward these portions, water and minerals are absorbed, and then it is stored in the rectum area, after which whenever the nervous control is given that now is the time to remove this waste material from the body, then the defecation process will take place. So remember, सीकम में फूड थोड़ी देर स्टोर होगा क्योंकि यहाँ पर आपके यूजफुल बैक्टीरिया होते हैं. अब सीकम के पास ही एक छोटा सा स्ट्रक्चर भी बाहर निकलता है. Now this is your vermiform appendix. कुछ याद आ रहा है ये नाम सुनकर? अपेंडिक्स.
यस मैम, जो कि पहले प्लास्टिक को डाइजेस्ट कर लेता था मैम, ऐसा कोई ऑर्गन होता था.
सो यहाँ हमारे लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन में वर्मीफॉर्म अपेंडिक्स केवल इतना छोटा सा होता है आइडियल कंडीशन में, लेकिन ये वो स्ट्रक्चर है चिल्ड्रन विच was helpful and which was very long in case of herbivorous animals, and this is where the most of the digestion of cellulose rich food takes place, because cellulose is very difficult to digest, and if it is difficult to digest, it requires more time with the enzymes. Only then the enzymes will be able to digest it. So herbivorous animals like goat, cows, those who graze upon grass, and the grass is mostly made up of cellulosic material, they require larger intestinal areas so that the food can be digested properly. So in our body, this is a vestigial organ. Okay, this organ has no significance in our body, but in herbivorous body, it had certain significance. Also, herbivores have longer small intestine as compared to the carnivorous, because carnivorous consume animal flesh, while herbivorous consume lots of green plant material which is rich in cellulose. So it is going to take time to digest that kind of material. So herbivores will be having longer small intestine as well. They will be having well developed vermiform appendix also, but the carnivorous will have smaller intestine. Small intestine will be smaller in length in case of carnivorous. And in our body, this is still present though it has no functionality, and such organs are known as vestigial organs. So vermiform appendix is there. Sometimes something gets into it and this gets inflamed, so we feel that unbearable pain, and then it needs to be removed through surgery, and that is known as appendicitis surgery. So appendix का आइटिस मीन्स इन्फ्लेमेशन, यानी आपका अपेंडिक्स जो है वो इन्फ्लेम्ड हो गया है, तब उसको रिमूव करना पड़ता है, एंड दैट इज अपेंडिसाइटिस. and the pain of appendicitis when it needs to be removed from your body. So now in the cecum area, healthy bacteria will reside, and that's why children, whenever we are
मैम इसे यूज क्यों नहीं कर सकते मैम, मतलब हम
sorry,
यूज नहीं करते कि मैम जो वर्मी फॉर्म अपेंडिक्स है मैम, इसे हम यूज नहीं करते कि यूज होना बंद हो गया है मैम, क्या हुआ है?
ये एवोल्यूशन में इस ऑर्गन की फंक्शनैलिटी कम हो गई. जब ये ऑर्गन ने फंक्शन हमारी बॉडी में लूज कर दिया, मे बी परहैप्स अकॉर्डिंग टू आवर डाइट एंड सो ऑन, slowly this organ has no functionality, so it doesn't store any food, it doesn't contribute to anything related to digestion or excretion process. It is just there in a small reminiscent kind of form. So it is not even in its original form. It used to be longer. It is not like that. It is present in just a reminiscent kind of form. It is not functional in our body, and this must have happened through evolution, because in our body we find it small, and in herbivorous body we find it large and functional. So slowly, somewhere during the evolution of mankind, we might have lost its functionality. But as long as the records go, it is not functional in the Homo sapien body anywhere. So it is not functioning. It has no purpose in our body actually. That is what I mean by vestigial organ. Understood. And I'll show you one picture of nictitating membrane also. That is also present at the corner of our eyes. Nictitating membrane is another layer below these eyelids. So this eyelid is one protective layer, and nictitating membrane is another transparent protective layer, which used to be present in reptiles, in birds, because they are swimming, they are flying, they need this protective but transparent layer below their eyelids. But we have lost it. We only have it in the corner as a vestigial reminiscent कि हाँ ये कभी किसी में था, हमारे बॉडी में ये फंक्शनल नहीं है. So there are slow motion videos of the birds flipping their nictitating membrane where you can actually see it. Otherwise, that process happens fast. I'll try to show you, and then you will understand the extent कि vestigial कैसा होता है और original organ कैसा होता है. It will become more clear. But first, let us talk about this. So,
Ma'am,
healthy
it is also
bacteria.
said
Hanji? Yes, yes.
that is, sometimes it is also said that after some more evolution, it will disappear from our body because it has no use.
It might, yeah, because evolution is such a slow process, and it takes not thousand but millions of years, that it is not possible for me or you to see it in the real time or feel it in the real time. But yes, once we will be studied by some archaeologist, maybe it will be found that after some year, after 2050, vermiform appendix was not found in human beings anymore. Maybe. And why not? It can happen. If it has grown so small, then maybe it will disappear also. It has lost its
मैम बट ये कैसे
functionality.
पॉसिबल है?
क्या क्या पॉसिबल है,
मैम
प्लीज?
बट ये पॉसिबल कैसे है?
पॉसिबल ऐसे है कि एवोल्यूशन में जो भी चेंजेस होते हैं, वो ऐसा नहीं है कि एक रात के बाद अगली सुबह सब में हो गए. ऐसा नहीं होता है. जो भी चेंजेस या म्यूटेशन या एवोल्यूशन के थ्रू होते हैं, वो परहैप्स पूरे पॉपुलेशन के कुछ इंडिविजुअल्स में हुआ. उन इंडिविजुअल्स में एक्यूमुलेट होते गए कैरेक्टर्स, एक्यूमुलेट होते 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 they have become so different that now those characters are visible like a different character. And now when those individuals give rise to babies, those characters are passed upon them. तो 15 लोगों में था, उनके बेबीज हुए, तो मे बी 20 more individuals are having that character. Now after the next generation, more individuals are having that character, and that is how a new character appears in the population. So many people have this doubt, silly doubt, that if we are formed, if we have developed from the apes like gorilla and chimpanzee, then why some of them are still gorilla and chimpanzee? Because all of them are not going to evolve the same way. Maybe one or two individuals had that mutation, and that mutation kept accumulating generation after generation, and after some time it became so evident that they were very different from existing gorilla or chimpanzee, and those different individuals have taken the evolutionary path of Homo sapiens. while others which did not have that kind of mutation, they are still gorilla and chimpanzee. So it is not going to happen that everybody will be changed overnight into Homo sapiens. Evolution happens, but only in certain individuals randomly, because mutation is a random process. Evolution will lead from that mutation into any direction. That mutation can disappear also, that mutation can continue also. That is how
मैम तो
it
मतलब
happens.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम,
Yeah.
जो भी डॉग्स कैट्स ये सब होते हैं उनमें एवोल्यूशन नहीं होगा, उनमें म्यूटेशन नहीं होगा
होता है,
मैम, जैसे डॉग्स
होता
कैट्स
है,
में।
सब में होता है। आपको क्या पता है कि जो मॉडर्न टाइम के हॉर्सेस हैं, हॉर्सेस की जब इवोल्यूशनरी हिस्ट्री ट्रैक डाउन की गई बेस्ड ऑन फॉसिल एविडेंस एंड देयर स्केलेटन्स, तो हॉर्सेस वर नॉट लाइक दिस इन द बिगिनिंग, दे हैव डेवलप्ड फ्रॉम सम डॉग लाइक एनिमल। अगर उनका ओल्डर फॉसिल रिकॉर्ड देखा जाए तो उनका हाइट, स्टेचर, shape of the head, it was very similar to some canine animal. But now you might realize कि कैनाइन पॉपुलेशन में कोई इंडिविजुअल ऐसा होगा जिसमें ये चेंजेस हुए, एंड दैट इंडिविजुअल केप्ट accumulating changes, and one day after many generations they became so different that something like a horse was developed in the evolutionary process. So this is how even cats and dogs are undergoing evolution that we are not seeing in the real time, because evolution takes place slowly, very slowly, but it will be visible after many centuries or maybe thousands of years. Through fossil records, it becomes very clear that yes, we were also changing, we just didn't realize it. So they are evolving, right?
यस मैम।
All right.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
in the large intestine, healthy bacteria will reside into the cecum area. Water and minerals will be absorbed, and the waste material is in semi-solid condition, and it is stored in the rectum area, is stored in rectum. And whenever your nervous system gives indication, then the anal sphincter will be released so that the organism can defecate. And later, defecation process happens. And now the cycle is complete. Alimentary canal, which started from one opening, mouth, food was taken into the mouth, then the food has traveled from buccal cavity to the esophagus to the stomach to small intestine, large intestine, and ultimately after defecation, the waste material has been expelled out of the body, and whenever the animal feels hungry again, it will repeat this same process. So, the digestion, or you can say nutrition in human beings, is completed. Now the session is open for questions. So please, otherwise I will ask questions for sure. Any questions, children? Tell me.
Ma'am,
मैम
what
आपने
is
स्टार्टिंग
biocatalyst?
एक्सो
One by one. First, okay, Saurabh, yeah.
Ma'am, what is biocatalyst?
Biocatalyst
एंजाइम्स।
or biological catalysts are those chemical compounds which will catalyze some biological reaction. So, for example, in normal chemical catalysis, you must have heard that nickel is used, platinum is used, palladium is used, but those are not used in biological processes. Whatever reactions are happening in the biological system, which are part of the metabolism, those reactions also require certain catalysts, and those catalysts have to be produced inside the biological system. What are they? They are enzymes. So biological catalysts are nothing but enzymes, and enzymes for a particular reaction are specific. For example, if you have to digest fat, then some lipase enzyme is one biological catalyst. If you have to digest carbohydrate, then amylase is one another category of biological catalyst. And this is just a tiny example. Our metabolic reactions are made up of tens of thousands of different reactions, and every reaction involves one different enzyme, and every enzyme is biological catalyst. those compounds which catalyze the biological reactions. Understood?
Ma'am, does it make the process fast in our body?
Of course, of course. There is a very classic enzyme related example in class 11th where it has been shown that the same process of CO2 converting into bicarbonate ion in the presence and absence of enzyme, and there is a 50,000 times difference in the rate of that reaction. One is happening in the presence of enzyme, one is happening in the absence of enzyme, and there is not one or two times difference, there is 50 times difference in that reaction. So now do you understand how efficient these enzymes are, and they make the process faster.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, how does
Ma'am,
affect our liver?
Let her speak, and then I will listen to you. Yes, Sheetal.
Ma'am, how does hepatitis affect our liver?
Hepatitis, yes. So hepatitis is a viral disease. You all know that. The mode of viral transmission can be water or can be blood transfusion. But once the virus reaches our body, every pathogen children has very specific requirement for a particular cell type, for a particular tissue type, or for a particular organ. So no matter where does it get inside your body from, whether you have inhaled it, whether you have eaten it, or it has come through blood transfusion, if the pathogen prefers to be in a particular kind of tissue, it will reach there through your bloodstream and establish itself there. So once the hepatitis virus enters our body, it goes to the liver cells. There are certain surface molecules which help in the recognition कि ये मेरी टारगेट साइट है. जैसे कोरोना वायरस के लिए टारगेट साइट हमारे लंग सेल्स में मिलते हैं, क्योंकि लंग सेल की सरफेस पे कुछ ACE2 रिसेप्टर्स थे जिसके लिए वो वायरस कंपैटिबल था. तो उसने सबसे ज्यादा डैमेज वहीं किया क्योंकि उसको वहां अपने कंपैटिबल सरफेस रिएक्शंस मिल रहे थे जिससे वो सेल के अंदर एंटर कर रहा था. So hepatitis virus will keep traveling through your body, and once it reaches the liver cells, that's it. Now it is going to establish itself there. And every pathogen does one thing: to keep themselves alive. Not only that, replicate themselves, make multiple copies of themselves, and in order to satisfy their requirement, these multiple copies are going to further infect the adjoining cells, and more copies, more adjoining cells are infected, and so on. That's how they damage the cell, and then all those cells, once damaged, they damage the tissue, and so that is how our liver gets affected. And liver is such a mega organ and multitasking organ of our body that once this gets affected, then all those processes which were being done by the liver are also going to be affected. So this is hepatitis. Hepato means liver and itis means inflammation. So once your liver cells are damaged, your liver is going to feel inflamed, you are going to feel unpleasant and some painful things, and many other side effects related to a damaged liver. So virus or bacteria, any pathogen will damage your cells where it is going to establish itself. So it is the side effect of that establishment that we feel as symptoms. I hope in class 9th you must have heard that how the symptoms appear, because the pathogen is establishing itself. It is going to secrete something, it is going to hamper the metabolism of your cell, or in different methods it is going to make you feel sick. So that is how it happens. More questions? Yes. Any more doubts? Somebody was asking a question before, Sheetal. Who was that? You can ask your question now.
Krishna.
Krishna, are you there? No, he's not there. I think his network or something is not working. All right. So please revise all this, and whatever doubts you have, we will discuss it in the next class, or you can ask before that in the WhatsApp. But note it all down in a sequential manner and send your completed notes to me. Let me see what needs to be changed, what needs to be modified, or it is all right. You have seen that Sheetal has shared her notes today. So please, all of you are requested to complete your notes till this portion.
मैम
Till
मैंने भी
Monday.
सेंड किया था।
Yes, yes, you have sent quite late, but yes, you have sent it. So please, all of you complete it till Monday, because in Monday class, I want all of you to attend my class before you have sent that notes, right? So please, you are free to leave now. If you have any more doubts, you can stay.